لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله عليه الصلاة والسلام، وهو سيد الخلق وخاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين. أما بعد، يقول الله عز وجل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. كما يقول الله عز وجل: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. كما يقول الله عز وجل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. اللهم اجعلنا من الفائزين والتائبين، وندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن ينصر إخواننا في غزة ويرزقهم الثبات وينصرهم على من عداهم، وندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يصلح حال إخواننا في السودان وأفغانستان ومشارق الأرض مغاربها. ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يؤلف بين قلوب أمة سيدنا محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام، ويشرح صدورنا للمحبة والعفو. وندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يصلح حالنا وحال أولادنا وبناتنا وأزواجنا ويؤلف ما بين قلوبنا. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our dua and make us among the righteous and protect our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Sudan, Afghanistan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to unite our hearts and protect our daughters and our wives and our children to what is righteous. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His guidance. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us mercy and accept our dua. Life becomes challenging as we see it every single day. Extremely challenging, especially as a Muslim. And a Muslim has to be aware of his surroundings and what's going on in your life, and how does it affect you, the decision of others on your personal life. How we shall deal with each other when it comes to conflict. How we should hold each other hand, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. We are brothers. It is mandated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unfortunately, this ayah, it disappears in our dictionary and vocabulary and action every single day. And we tend to go through so much innovation of the deen and hold on to the thing that the Prophet ﷺ did not do it, and then it becomes a conflict of the hour. Because of the ego, and I have to win the argument, even I am wrong. And that's what we see today. People who are leading the world, they're that type of people. They stand by the side of injustice. And the situation in Gaza made everything clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لِيَمِيزَ الْخَبِيثَ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ. It is a clear message. You cannot say that I have an illusion, I have a fog in my eye, I didn't understand. Now you need to understand how we can justify the wrong and how we can make the wrong right. By the manipulation of driving the news of today, they keep repeating itself. You go to this channel and it's the same issue, and they repeat it in the way how you word things. When you word certain sentences and how you ask the question, you prepare the person to answer a question the way how you want it. And this is amal al-shaytan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Al-qawl al-sadid, it is the truth and direct to the point. When you do that, what does Allah do? يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ. He fixes your affair. وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. And He forgives your sin. وَمَنْ يُطِيعَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. If you obey Allah and His Messenger, both of them, there is no such thing as today, the innovation in the deen, we are Ahlul Quran, we explain the Quran by the Quran, and there is no Sunnah. It's like there is no Prophet. But yet these people have so many followers on social media. They've been given so much money to play with the brain and the intellect of the Muslim youth. And a lot of time today, I know Monday is going to be Rabi' the 12th. It is not the moral of the khutbah, but I just want to touch up on it. The Prophet did not celebrate his birthday. He did not. The Sahaba did not. It started centuries later when, the Fatimiyin that started this. And this is not, you don't want to get into a lecture of such thing. And there's two different opinions. Somebody tried to explain it. Well, we need to celebrate. You celebrate according to the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If you want to remind people of the seerah of the Prophet, it is acceptable Islamically. But when we gather men and women and say, Hayyallah, Hayyallah, and sallallahu ala nabi, and the hair is being tabarruj, this is not. Has nothing to do with Sharia. First there is a mix of men and women. Then there is a tabarruj. And we say anything that has nothing to do with Shari'atullahi and Sunnat Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In here, just to touch up in this and move into our subject, وَأَنَّ هَذِي صِرَاطِ مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. And verily, this is my straight path, so follow it, and follow not other paths, for they will separate you away from his path. And that's what we do, the innovation. That's why we do hadith. Prophet ﷺ says, كُلَّ بِدَعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ وَكُلُّ ضَلَالَةٍ فِي النَّارِ. It's a clear message. If you truly love the Prophet ﷺ, that follow what he told you. Look at his character. The Ameen, the Siddiq, the merciful, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. All these things, if you truly want to celebrate the Prophet ﷺ, follow. Teach his characteristics to your child and to your daughter how he was. And unfortunately, we don't do that. We look at the celebration of buying things that has nothing to do with Sunnah Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, gathering in somebody's home, or renting a space and doing all these things that are contradictory to Islam. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو ورد. Whoever performs a deed that does not conform to our matter, then it is rejected. And we can go into many ahadiths, but this is not, time is limited. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. Whoever invents to our matter, religion, what is not part of it, that it is an innovation and is it rejected. Billah alik. If the Prophet telling you this, why you do something contradicting to Islam? Is mixing man and woman and jumping up and down part of Islam? Part of Shari'atullahi Azza wa Jal? Part of the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Let's not use words to manipulate the subject. You want to celebrate it on Rabi' al-12th? Surely that's what when he passed away. But his birth, there is different dates if you read and you go research. Some say Rabi' al-12th, some say 10 days later, some say this, some say that. So please, if you go in to discuss the birth of the Prophet, Discuss it within the limit of the Sharia, within the parameters of what is halal, within the parameters what is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. So be careful of what you do when it comes to the deen. When it comes to conflict, which we go back to our situation. We all know the hadith, فَمَنْ رَأَى مُنْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ وَلَئِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ بِلِسَانِهِ وَبِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. We know the hadith, whoever see wrong shall correct it with his hand. If he could not, then he should correct it with his tongue. And if he could not, he should correct it with his heart. And it is the weakest of faiths. Correcting the wrong is a mandatory thing in Islam. And we fail to do that in our daily life. Because sometimes we fear people, not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's extremely dangerous. Well, I want to please you because you're my friend. So I don't want to lose the relationship on expense of displeasing and entering into the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Why you compromise for 5 minutes what is going to put you in eternity in hellfire? Why? When you see a munkar, you see a wrong, doesn't matter who does it, you have to speak up. Because you're afraid to lose that relationship, or that position, or that wealth, or that status, whatever it might be. We're going to be isolated. Allah's Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he gave the message in Mecca, he was isolated. He was isolated. But he continued to give the message, the beautiful deen of this Islam, deen al-haq, that we have today, and we're not giving it value. You give value to a relationship that is built on the wrong, and you say nothing. When you've been commanded to speak the truth. Yet we want the world to change. That's why things are going the way how they are going today. That's why today we have relationships that they are against humanity, against the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A man marrying a man, a woman marrying a woman, and it's been accepted. What do you think? Let's go back centuries or 1,000 years ago. If this would happen, well, would we be here today? You wouldn't. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created dhakar, He created untha. It's clear. But yet we are passive on things. We must speak up. We're not asking for violence. Speak up. I have my rights, you have your rights. I have my parameters, you have your parameters. When we hear these things and we sit there, if you worked on a farm, do you milk a cow or a bull? Which one do you milk? It is a clear message. But yet there is innovation and things to push us astray to the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the rain, the floods you see today, the earthquake, the tsunamis. Don't you want to reflect? Are you sleep peacefully, not thinking that Allah can, fraction of a second, nothing is left? So we must speak the truth. ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض. In his victory, did not Allah check one set of people by the means of another, the earth would indeed fall to mischief. So when we speak it and say, no, you can't do that. No, this is not right. This is not good for us as humanity, as a human being. What you do in your private life, it is your private life. But when you bring it up to the open, it becomes totally different subject. And you don't force me to accept something that is haram and not pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah set a parameter for all of us. When you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, you submitted by your free will. Nobody put a sword to your neck. Did they? So therefore, what is your purpose in this earth? What is your purpose? What is your purpose?
Worship.
Your purpose in this world, it is to please Allah and follow the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask for the way of Allah and stand for what is right and forbid what is wrong. You cannot exist without people standing up and speaking up, because we are getting older and our children are becoming also older. What are we going to leave to them? You focus in, and I say this many times, on the money part of it, which is this is a risk that is promised to you, from Allah. But you're not focusing what are you going to leave to your children, how are you going to hold on to the deen, how are you going to be successful in their life, in the dunya and akhirah, in this world and the hereafter. And unfortunately, we are not, doing that. كما قال الله عز وجل لولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لهدمت صوامع وبيع وصلوات ومساجد يذكر فيها اسم الله. In the Hajj, did not Allah check one people by the means of others, they would surely have been pulled down monastery, churches, synagogue, mosque, in which the name of Allah is commemorated and abandoned. Subhanallah. Sometimes, our masajid, we fight our masajid, we fight our institution, and we create suspicion around them without any proof, without any facts. You sit in a coffee shop or other places that are not even pleasing to Allah, and you bash such institution and accuse them. Billah alik. You tell me you're going to stand in front of Allah and tell Him, I didn't say this? Billah alik. You tell me you have the courage to stand in front of Allah and say, I said this, and I stop people from donating to that institution, to that masjid, to that orphanage, or to that. The action of a few does not eliminate the action of the mass. You have no right, and Allah did not give you the permission to enter the people's intention. ذَلِكَ عِلْمُ الْغَيْبِ. When Hadith Umar said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ وَالْكَمْرَ إِمَّا نَوَى. He clearly, was defined, and there is a book written, just the intention. Your intention, مَنْبَعُهَا الْقَلْبِ. النية منبعها القلب ويصدقها العمل. If the action of somebody that is honest, why are you suspicious in it? Why? Why you want to destroy it when the action of the haram in front of you, and sometimes you're promoting it and you're doing nothing against it? You tell me as a Muslim, when Allah says, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. You are the best of nation. You shall promote what is good and forbid what is wrong. You tell me, my brothers, my sisters, what do you think? I want you to take a moment and reflect on that. Friday comes, Friday goes. Ramadan comes, Ramadan goes. And your life is -1, -2, -3, -4. It is going 365 days, 1,000 days, and it's going. Until Allah said, Malak al-Maut, and say, blink. Are you prepared to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are you? أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله استغفر الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا. Here the Prophet ﷺ says, let it not any one of you be blind follower who says, if people do good, I will do the same. And if people do wrong, I will do the same. But you should stick to the righteous. And we do that today. If everybody is good, and you're going to do this, so I'm going to show off and do the same thing. If you're going to do wrong, I will do wrong. It's okay. Because the mass is doing it. So what is your aqidah? What is your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is your commitment to kalamullah, which is the Quran and Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Where is it? Because if you stand on the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does Allah say? Inna Allah waliyyu alladhina amanu, inna Allah yudafi'u ala alladhina amanu. So clearly you must understand that Allah is your wali. And if Allah is your wali, the whole humanity cannot compete with you. But unfortunately, we don't do that. Usually opposing ideas are usually dismissed, and those who propose them could be questioned about their loyalty in critical matters. It is competent upon those who hold opposing ideas to convey them. The only way to overcome the dismissal of opposing ideas by performing coalition to support them. It is impossible for one to be able to appropriately convey an opposing idea during a conflict without building some support for it. What we do, we oppose. You oppose my idea, then I become, your enemy. We all have different ideas. We all want to get to Jannah. And they're in a different way. But we all have to follow Kalamullah and Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I might do a lot of qiyam layl, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped me to do that. Allah gave me wealth to give a lot of sadaqat. Allah gave me knowledge to help people, and so on and so forth. And this is all turuq al-Jannah. But I cannot oppose you because you're doing something that is different than me. And you cannot oppose me. We oppose people that have less knowledge and less experience. And because of my ego, I want to destroy them, and this is amal al-shaytan. Yet you stand on the sidelines, seeing it, and saying nothing. When Allah brings you, He's going to ask you. You saw the wrong and you did nothing about it. You were afraid of people, not afraid of me. Because what Allah does the day of judgment? Everybody comes up as Hadith of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to Aisha. People will be in sweat into their legs, to their chest, to their neck, naked. And Allah stand and say, Ana al-Malik, Ana al-Diyan, I'm the judge, I'm the king. You think any king gonna today in the dunya gonna say I'm a king? Wallahi not. And He swear by His majesty that everybody will get his right, even if you enter in Jahannam. You still get your right from people who enter in Jannah. And vice versa. So what have you prepared to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why when you get into conflict and you're wrong, you don't admit it? Why you walk with a chip on your shoulder, going around accusing others? That's a sign of an inferiority complex in psychology. That you get intimidated by the others, that Allah gives them confidence. And everything is from Allah. Nobody does anything except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we must understand, if we really want to change, let us work together to stop the wrong and promote what is right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Ali Imran, قالوا لا تكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر. Let it there arise out of you a band of people inviting to all that is good and enjoying that what is right and forbidding what is wrong. Allah tells you in the Quran. Do you do this on a daily basis? You work for somebody, you see your co-worker stealing. Do you sit quiet, you think it's funny? Or you say something? My brother, I cannot do this. You cannot. Even if it's your boss, let him fire you. because you stood for what is right. If that was your business, would you like it? Of course not. You see somebody making fun of a brother that is walking. We're accusing him. And you stand there cracking joke with him and laughing. Would you like that to happen to you? Of course not. So why don't you say something? That is standing for what is right. That is standing for the honor of your brother. You would not believe until you love for others what you love for yourself. Let us stop accusing each other. Let us stop getting into conflict that have no value. Let us hold hands in hand to create a platform, to create success for our children to hold to their deen. So it is extremely important to follow Kalamullah Azza wa Jal and understand what is the purpose in this world for us all together. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. What does that mean? And hold fast all together to the rope of Allah and do not be divided. Are we doing that today, or are we so divided? They give you things in a nutshell. We're in America for so many years. We are a big community. We have money. We don't invest in each other. We don't help each other. We don't give ideas to each other. We don't show my brother, you can't do this, it's okay. There is a job over there. There is a business, brother. I don't have the money, but I want you to get it. I will come and support you, whatever you need from me. This is investing in each other. And you do it with good intention. You want nothing from him. You want to see him successful. No, we don't do that. You see a brother who opened a business and it bothers you. That you don't want to see him successful. Why? This is a person who makes 5 times salat. This is a person who stands in front of Allah and asks to be righteous and make dua. What a hypocrisy. Hypocrisy with an end. You've been hypocrite with yourself. Subhanallah. We have the gift of this deen. The ni'mah that Allah brought us here, we are not somewhere else. This is by the mercy of Allah. Wallahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will guide us to come here. وَإِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. And we have the example of Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam with his son, when he ran to the mountain. We have the example of Sayyidina Mohammed alayhi salatu wasalam, the most lovable person to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When his uncle is dying, he couldn't make him say shahada. All you have to do is do the right things. Continue pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Follow kalamillahi azza wa jal. Follow shar'ullah. Follow sunnat Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Do the best, because your child will stand in front of Allah and say, my father, my mother did not teach me. What is this deen about? These children are your responsibility. You spend 12-hour days at work, and we all are guilty of it. And we come home and everything is off balance. We see it, and slowly by slowly, the tree keeps getting the branches crooked. If a crooked tree went up, what do you think is going to happen? So you must come back to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Interpersonal conflict, interdependence, differences in goal and differences in perception usually causes group conflict in organization, communities, and so on and so forth. So the purpose, brothers, we're going to disagree. But our disagreement should not become a war. And we're seeing it in communities, in families, and in larger, like the Muslim world. The example of Sudan, brothers killing each other. The example of Morocco and Algeria. The example of many. Gaza on the border of Egypt. What happened in Libya. We are all one ummah. Nationalism is not going to make you enter Jannah. It's not. Islam is going to enter an Iman al-Jannah. So you choose nationalism or ta'atullah, ta'atul Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وبارك فيما اعطيت وقنا شر من هديت اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا اللهم اهد اهل هذا البلد الاسلام وحبب اليهم الاسلام والمسلمين واجعلنا نكون قدوة لهم اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وارحم امواتنا وارحم ابائنا وامهاتنا واخواننا اللهم احفظ اخواننا في غزة اللهم احفظ إخواننا وأخواتنا في غزة اللهم ارزقهم الثبات واحقن دماءهم وتقبل شهداءهم واشف مرضاهم ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يصلح حال إخواننا في السودان وفي أفغانستان وفي الصومال وفي كل أنحاء العالم مشارقها ومغاربها ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يحبب فيما بيننا ويرزقنا الثبات ويرينا الحق حقا ويرزقنا اتباعه والباطل باطلا ويرزقنا اجتنابه اللهم احفظ بناتنا وأولادنا وأزواجنا ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوفقنا لما يحب ويرضاه اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وفضلك عن سواك وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى to make us among the righteous, protect us, protect our brothers and sisters in Gaza, give them victory and reveal the truth to the whole humanity. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide humanity and people of this country to Islam and make us to be a guidance to them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our wives, our children, our daughter, and make them stand firm on Shari'atullah wa Sunnati Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant mercy to our loved one that depart and return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our last moment be pleasing to Him, which is Husnul Khatim. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put al-barakah in our wealth, in our health, our sight and our children, our homes and our community. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to implant love in our heart to love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة قنا عذاب النار صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله. استقيموا يرحمكم الله واخشعوا بصلاتكم وادعوا لأنفسكم إخواننا في كل مكان خاصة في السجود. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Please can you touch those boxes, please, for donation. Just an FYI, we're looking to create a program for the children. It's really serious, but if you have any skills, please come. We have this, we can do sisters, can volunteer to do something in here Friday night for our teenagers, girls, and younger, and for the brothers, young brothers, we can do something here Saturday night. So inshallah, we have the screen, we can do video games, parents and children come together. This has been part of the community. The community is not by you. We're not going to go sit in the coffee shop until 4 o'clock in the morning. It is by you, but some don't listen to them. So we must understand. Also, they are members of the community. We have a brother who has cancer, he has is being helped by other organizations. They are non-Muslim, so he needs to pay his rent. We had a sister in here who became homeless, whose daughter abandoned her. So we have issues in the community, and we only can make a change when we are part of the community and care for the community. So please donate generously. We have our weekly program for the school for the kids 3.5 to 5.5. It's still open, and Sunday we have Quran school and also Saturday. So inshallah, we'll try to create, we're looking for tutoring for math, sisters and brothers. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. السلام عليكم. كل شيء بخير، الله يحفظك، الله يكرمك، كل شيء بخير، كل ما سحب. الله يزال حدثه، الله يحفظك. ايش كتاب؟
على الحجاب.
الحجاب الله بشع.
كان في المغرب. وش بخير؟
كذلك المسجلين.
ما أفقر نكست.
شفت الله يكمل بخير.
زوان درجة.
الله يكمل بخير والله سبحانه وتعالى. ما تخبرش عنا ربنا محتاجين لك.